Can you really swing like Spider-Man? We're about to find out in this video today. Proving Spider-Man swinging is real. It's real, we don't need to watch it anymore.
Right there was the culmination of 2 years of work trying to prove to myself that it is possible to swing like Spider-Man.
Okay, all right, JT.
In 2019, I got an engineering internship with Hacksmith Industries.
Hey, I know those guys.
Real.
Well, I don't know them, but you know, I watched them.
But the 6 weeks I had there weren't enough to get the result I was dreaming of. So then last year, when I was preparing for my university thesis project in electromechanical engineering, I proposed the topic, investigating the possibility of Spider-Man swinging as a novel form of locomotion, which is just academic speak for, I want to be Spider-Man. And somehow they said yes. Just
the overexposure on this video.
Ooh! I took some of those parts that weren't safe and made a video about them, which you can check out in the description. But in summary, to replicate Spider-Man's web, I made a device that I call a hook chain, built with alloy steel and the world's strongest polymer. It was inspired by Velcro to work by wrapping around objects and catching onto its own rope with tiny steel hooks. Now, I know it doesn't look like Spider-Man's web in the movies, and yeah, ideally it should stick to objects instead of wrapping around them, but really, my number one priority is to swing like Spider-Man, and no other method I've tried in the last 2 years has worked as well as this one has. So here's my old system, and here's my new one. The old one is a cool-looking, wrist-mounted web shooter with custom safe grappling hooks, a backpack full of compressed air to shoot, a harness to carry your weight, a microcontroller to electrically manage the firing, and the disconnecting based on the hand gestures from some Spider-Man gloves. The new one is a hooky rope. What can I say? Simplicity is king. But to be fair, it is a little too simple right now, because I still need a way to hold onto and let go of the rope and to launch the web at a target. So let me show you my new solution. Yeah, it's a pipe. Okay, so my solution was, what if you could make one cylinder that did everything? You store the hook chain in one end, the launching mechanism in the other, and then you can just hang from the whole thing like a handle. So I could just make a bunch of these and store them on a belt or something. Once you've finished swinging on one, you grab the next one, fire it, and let go of the old one. And as long as they're small and cheap enough, there's no problem just leaving them there. I mean, Spider-Man leaves his webs all over the city anyway. And no one's managed to pin the littering charges on him yet.
It has been confirmed, if I'm not mistaken, or like it's canon or whatever. His webs dissolve after an hour or so. Whatever they're made out of, they dissolve. So FYI. Yes, I'm a nerd.
There are two main options people use. Compressed air is what I used in my grappling gun.
God, that looks massive.
Designing it for one-handed operation would probably get bulky and expensive. The other option is combustion, commonly used in things like potato cannons. These launchers work by igniting propane, which expands out and shoots your projectile. I tried that and it did work, but I wanted a bit more power. So, although people usually use compressed air or propane, I thought, why not use compressed propane?
Huh?
To show you how it works, please excuse me for a moment while I chop my prototype in half. So basically it has a chamber and a barrel, and you can see that they're welded together at this flange here. I can fill the chamber using this cut-down Schrader valve that allows flow in but not out. And the gas is kept in the chamber by an airtight seal against this burst disc, which is just a plastic circle that I cut out of one of my university folders. Then I use a piezo sparker from a barbecue lighter to zap across this tiny spark plug I made, which ignites the fuel mix, and that explodes outward, bursts the disc, and accelerates the hook chain out of the barrel. I should mention, making some of these parts was really only possible because I got myself this monstrous 70-year-old lathe.
How are people this smart?
But it's been so helpful so far. I'm able to afford such a big machine thanks to this video sponsor, KiwiCo, who I'm really pleased to be working with. And I'm not just saying that because it's what's in my script. Actually, I reached out to them because I really like their mission to teach kids problem solving and STEAM skills so they can grow up and change the world. They do that with monthly kits like this cool hydraulics one I just built, and they can ship to 40 countries across the world, but unfortunately not back in time, which is a shame because I really would have loved this as a kid. I still have this science magazine I used to love reading well over a decade ago, and it's great, but the problem is I've always been more of a hands-on kind of guy, so I would have used the heck out of those crates. And if you or your child feel the same way, you can get 50% off your first monthly crate by going to kiwico.com/builtirl in the description. Going back to the design, my big challenge here was that to properly seal, the disc needs to be pressed against the gasket with a force equivalent to about 15 kilograms. To achieve this, I first tried making a two-part launcher that threads together at the disc, but that was very bulky and weak. So I made these polycarbonate cartridges, which not only hold the hook chains, but also help to transmit the force from the front of the launcher back onto the disc. And that way I can keep the handle as one strong piece. To apply this force at the front, initially I bolted a collar on every time I loaded the web shooter, but that sucked, so I knew I needed to think of something more ergonomic. And that was when I had a light bulb moment. No, literally. Check out this light bulb. It uses what's called a bayonet connection, where you press and twist and a spring locks it into place. I wanted to make something similar for the web shooters, so to replicate these little arms, I stud welded some round stock onto the barrel, using the world's least correct method of TIG welding. Then I needed to design a much stronger version of this twisty bit. Since my design was a complex shape, I 3D printed it, and here's how it fits on. Unfortunately, it wasn't strong enough. Not to worry though, by switching to a more isotropic material and simply redesigning it another 8 times, I eventually got it. Here's my concern though. This part is under 35 pounds of force while the web shooter is pressurized, and although it's strong enough to take it, I'm worried that an impact might push it over the edge. Yeah, so it really should be made of metal. I mean, I wonder if I could have this 3D printed in steel. Or let's just not drop it then. Now with that settled, the last thing to do was add the grip and sew on the straps, and we're done. Now for the highlights. This web shooter's got a low profile fill valve, a custom spark plug, all stainless welded construction, a 200 bar combustion chamber, a heavy duty nylon strap, an ergonomic ABS grip, a clicky button thing, polycarbonate reloadable cartridge.
I'm amazed by a lot of this, but I'll tell you right now, I don't understand a fucking thing that he is talking about. But Spider-Man's cool.
And a custom twist lock compression element. Building this was dramatically more work than I expected. And now I have to make 7 more of them.
That's content creation.
Okay, so with all those done, let's talk fueling. You see, like in a car, getting the air-fuel mix right is actually not trivial. So, I built this fuel rig. To fill one of the launchers, I rest it here, turn 2 levers, screw on the valve, turn the other levers, unscrew, and we're good to go. So,
interesting.
Let's go find a suitable testing location. Welcome to Rush Trampoline Park.
All right.
Now, in the movies, they even admit that Spider-Man's webs are not 100% reliable. And unlike in the movies, this would kill me. But here, there's a giant foam pit which they're kindly allowing me to use. So, when I inevitably fall, I'll have a nice soft landing. Okay, so I'm up here on this platform that they use for tricking practice, and there are 3 roof beams that are safely above the foam pit that I'm going to try swinging from. Now, in the movies, when...
Wait a minute, did he just casually just do a fucking spin into the thing? Did he? Look at that!
Practice. Tally-ho. And it works fairly successfully for him, so let's give that a go.
How does it not break his wrist? Yeah.
Okay, not great. So it turns out, like any other skill, this needs practice. And unfortunately, I only had about an hour each evening between Rush closing and South Africa's curfew at the time. So between practicing and filming, I had to go in on 8 separate days to do my Spider-Man training.
As police.
It started off a bit bleak. What? That's ludicrous. Wrong beam.
Well, that's new.
But soon enough, we were definitely getting there.
Dude, those look really flimsy.
But yay! And not long after that, I had 2 swings working pretty reliably. Yes!
You just wouldn't be able to transfer to the 3rd one fast enough, I don't think.
Spider-Man! Hello, pedestrians! Ah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, it's completely stuck. Whoa. Now, Spider-Man might leave his webs behind, but I only made 8 of these, so I had to reuse them. But to do that, I had to get them down. Speaking of unexpected issues, I was so intent on making web shooters that could fire halfway up a skyscraper that even on the minimum setting, the power turned out to be too great for the swings I was doing. So I actually needed to rework them for atmospheric pressure fuel instead. But it'd be tragic to have all that power and not even show you. This is the maximum power this launcher can put out without going to metal twist locks.
Okay.
Probably just fine for skyscrapers, I think. Going back to the swinging, I went ahead with my plan to clip the third web shooter onto a belt so that I could try 3 swings.
No way he gets 3. No way he gets 3.
The belt worked well, but I couldn't...
That sounded like a fart, and that's why I laughed. Look at it. Gets it?
Sort of. The belt worked well, but
That was
I couldn't
awesome.
quite get 3 swings.
Fuck yeah.
I kept trying, but eventually I realized that the spacing was just off. I was
Yeah.
trying to fire at the beam when it was directly above me, and I couldn't use the beam further along because then I'd leave the foam pit. So that was a bit disappointing. But at least the 2.5 swings I could do shows that if you've got the right geometry and you take enough attempts, you could probably just keep swinging as long as you've got new web shooters on your belt. And I think I'd quite like to explore that more in a future video.
Ah.
Massive thanks to Damon, Richard, and Anis, Ashik, and Zahir for helping out at Rush, to Jeremy for filming, and to you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. By the way, if you want to see more stuff like this every month or two,
All right. I don't think he's made anything else since then. Yeah, so the last thing is Jet Hovercraft was the latest thing he made, but swinging for real. So that was pretty nuts. I love watching stuff like Hacksmith and This Built IRL because it's fun to see just comic book stuff brought to real life with engineering smarts. So I love those kind of channels. If you guys want me to react to anything else like this or any other kind of crazy stuff, because I do have some stuff in my watch later that is more like this, leave your suggestions in the comment sections down below. And if you guys want to see me react to another crazy person making awesome stuff from a comic or anime, definitely suggest you go check out this video right here. Also hit that subscribe button because we're nearing 10,000 subscribers. But as always, I'm your host, JUICEBOX. Remember to wake up in the morning and ask yourself something. Not my daily dose of juice. See you guys next time.